Welcome to How to Study and Ace Examinations, presented by Robert Klah, curated from my three-part book, What the Schools Fail to Teach About Education, proudly brought to you by Strap, in association with the Rotary Club of Accra Industrial and the United Nations Youth Association of Ghana. Hello. In this course, we will be looking at 6 points, which translates to 6 chapters and certainly 6 clear sessions. Put together, they should help you to be able to study and ace your examinations at first attempt. The areas we're going to be looking at are study technique, speed reading, how to commit things to memory, how to answer questions, reasons why students exclaim, "It is difficult!" and of course, study tips. Well, if you're ready to learn, I'm ready to teach. Let's go. Session 1, Study Technique. For most students, the challenge of education is not so much about what to study, but how to study. Students have so much materials from so many subjects they are supposed to be learning, which simply means that they need to find effective ways to study and for them to be able to gain comprehension. Well, if you will, permit me to introduce to you a study technique which is tried and tested and for a fact can deliver good results. This was developed by the American philosopher who's also an educationist. It's called Francis Robinson. So what is it and how does it work? SQ3R is an acronym. So S stands for survey, Q stands for question, R stands for read, another R stands for recite, and the last R stands for revise or review. So that's the SQ3R. How does it work? So when you have a book, what do? Do you just like jump into it and just read any part or just pick any topic and then just read? Or is there a way, a strategy for effective studies? According to the SQ3R, what you need to do when you take a book is to survey the book. So survey here means you read the title of the book. So here, What the Schools Fail to Teach About Education, Part 3, Optimizing Your Performance. That's the subtitle. I've read that as well. You go to the back, there's a blurb at the back, you read it. Now reading the things at the back simply gives you another information about the book, basically highlights, all right? And then you go into the book. There are so many other things you probably see. Praises for the book, which can give you an information about who is actually endorsing the book and what the book can do. You go to the contents of the book, table of content, and you read that. You can actually read preface. Now, if it's not so much of a book, but just a topic that you're going to read, what you need to do is to read the introduction, or you can read some portion of the whole topic just to be able to understand it. If there's summary of objectives, you can also read that. Put together is supposed to give you an understanding about an entire book, what it is, what's contained in there, just so that you can get into the mood. The mood. It's an icebreaker, it's a curtain raiser. Surveying just gets you in the mood to begin the real work. The next step is questioning. It's a strategy for you to try to get into the mindset of the author. Try to understand exactly why they wrote what they wrote, all right? So what you're going to do is to use the headings and the subheadings written in this particular book and turn them all into questions, all right? So you pick a heading and then you create a question out of it and then find a jotter and write it down so you don't forget, all right? Write each question down. Once you've written it down, you're ready to go to the next level. The next step is reading. If you have the whole book, Of course, obviously, you can only get full information from the entire book if you read from cover to cover, from beginning to end. All right, so read. However, this time around, when you're reading, read with the questions in mind. All right, read with the purpose to answering the questions that you have written. Read to find answers to the questions you have written. Read from cover to cover. The next step is recite. Recite simply means answering the questions. You wrote questions earlier. When you were reading, you had the questions at the back of your mind and you used that as basis for your reading. When you were reading, your focus was also to look for answers to the questions. Now, what you need to do is to recite the answers. Recital here simply means either you're writing it down or you are saying it verbally. You need to write it or you need to recite it. Either way, it must be answers to the questions in your own words. If you're in a study group, you can have somebody ask the questions and then you can give the answer. But regardless, what is important is that each question that you have written down, make sure you pick all the questions and try to answer them. Each one of them, do not leave any of them out. That is a task. The next step is review. So you have your questions written, you have your answers also written. The next thing to do is to find out if your answers are accurate. So you review to find out if your answers are correct. All right. So go back, check through the document and make sure that every answer given is accurate. If the answers are accurate, you're good. If the answers are not accurate, go back and back and back again all the way through till you're able to give accurate answers to the things in there, to the questions, all right? So once you're able to do that, then you're home free. To recap the SQ3R technique, in conclusion, you have all the information. All you need to do now is practice, because without practice, it will do you no good. So, do yourself a favor. Practice. Jolali. Thank you for participating in the course How to Study and Ace Examinations, presented by Robert Klah. author of the series What the Schools Fail to Teach About Education, proudly brought to you by Strap, in association with the Rotary Club of Accra Industrial and the United Nations Youth Association of Ghana.